In this video, we have 3 series that are rumored for Disney Plus, which means that there is some massive potential for ROI if you're specking on the keys associated with these series. Stay tuned.
Bry's Comics.
Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. If you enjoy content about comic book investment and speculation and tips and tricks on how to have this hobby fund itself, then you are in the right place. I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment down below. Also, over at bryscomics.com, if you sign up for the newsletter, it's the best way to stay up to date on everything that's going on with my shop, and in so doing, you enter yourself to win a free slab each and every month. In the next video, I'll be announcing what this month, for the month of September, which slab it is and who the winner was from the August giveaway. Before we jump into these specs, it's important to note that a lot of these rumors to be in early development about characters or shows coming to the MCU, oftentimes they're only partially correct. Sometimes they miss the mark altogether. Sometimes they'll be rumored to have their own show and they only co-star in a show, or sometimes it's rumored to get their own series and it ends up being a video game. You know, a lot of times there is good information that is leaked, but it's only partially correct and not the whole picture. So take all of these spec videos with a grain of salt, but the idea is to make educated speculations on characters or series that have a lot of potential, and to get and snag those keys way before all of the hype and excitement so that you have a greater return on your investment. But as we know, there are actually 9 confirmed shows for Disney Plus that we haven't even got yet. Those shows and the keys that go along with those are a much safer investment, but it's a little bit sharkier waters because the announcements are already out. People are already hip and hunting those keys. So we're talking about the next slate of announcements to be released for Disney Plus and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because we all know it's coming. We just got that huge slate of all the announced shows from the last Disney Investor Day, and so I'm specking on the next one, as well as the 9 confirmed shows that we haven't even got yet. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell, because those are pretty much guaranteed ROI. I mean, how many examples do we need to see before we can actually say that? I mean, we've seen it with WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and now Loki, that all of the keys, even after they've been announced, but before they actually come out, there's a ton of room for potential profit right there. So all of these 9 shows that haven't come out yet on Disney Plus, it's like, I mean, I know I'm willing to bet my money that you'll see a heavy ROI on all of those keys associated with those books, some more than others, and some have more credence than others. In my mind, it's a slam dunk. So subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, because I will be dropping more videos about the 9 confirmed shows for the MCU and all the keys that go along with them. All right, so first off, we have Heroes for Hire, and the current rumor is that Luke Cage and Iron Fist will get their own Disney Plus show, although it is unconfirmed from Marvel. It's just a rumor from an inside source leaking information online, and the leak suggests that Mike Coulter may reprise the role as Luke Cage, but that Iron Fist will almost certainly be recast, which causes some to believe that Mike Coulter will also be recast. Either way, I think it is highly likely because it checks all the boxes for diversity and would follow in the same footsteps as the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's that really popular TV show model that has been proven effective for years and years, the old African-American Caucasian team-up dynamic. Fans were really disappointed that these characters didn't get as much justice as they deserved in their own respective solo shows on Netflix, although I really did enjoy the Luke Cage Netflix show. But as we saw with the keys, we saw a huge spike before those Netflix shows came out, and they have leveled off significantly since. And so if we get a reboot and they do the reboot correctly, I think we'll see highs way surpassing the Netflix numbers. And even if it doesn't come to pass, these are some awesome keys to own, awesome characters, and in many cases, some classic covers. And I really don't think you can go wrong with today's prices on these books, even if they don't get their own show on Disney Plus. And the surest bets are on both characters' first appearance, Iron Fist in Marvel Premiere number 15, and Luke Cage in Hero for Hire number 1. But these books are so expensive. What are some more affordable examples? Well, I also really like Hero for Hire number 2. It's the second appearance of Luke Cage and the first Claire Temple, who's played by Rosario Dawson in many different Marvel properties. And she's just an integral part of both of these characters' stories, and I really don't think that they can do a Hero Heroes for Hire project without Claire Temple. It's also the first cover appearance of Diamondback, and it's really affordable at the moment. I bought both of these. I have two 9.8s of this. There's only 33 of those in the world, and I got both of those for around $500. So the 9.8 is definitely harder to come by since there's only 33 of them on the census, but those lower grades like 9.4, 9.2 are really reasonably priced. Another key to look for is Power Man number 48, and this is the first team up of Power Man and Iron Fist, and this book has had some interesting sales data because back in 2014, 2015, when the Netflix shows were being promoted, it was seeing average sales in a 9.8 of around $600, and since then it has come back down to average sales around $400. And this just goes to show you what can happen when a show or a character's hype is a letdown compared to their actual performance. And the caveat to this is that there's also only 29 CGC 9.8s currently on the census, so there's not a lot of sales data, and they're hard to find in that super coveted 9.8. But if you're patient, you can pick up a 9.4 at auction for around $100, which I think would be a fantastic pickup. Similarly, Power Man and Iron Fist number 54. This is hands down my favorite Power Man and Iron Fist cover. Classic Keith Pollard cover. It's the first appearance of the Incinerator and the first time Heroes for Hire is used. If the Disney Plus show is titled Heroes for Hire, this book will see a huge bump. And this book has been flatlined for years. I picked up two 9.8s, each for under $200, and every time I see them come up, I'll buy another one, just because of the classic cover and the potential it has if they do a Disney Plus show and title it that. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? I've been looking for more modern examples that go with Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and I'm sure there are some modern keys that are going to see some major bumps if we get a Heroes for Hire show, and I'm having a hard time tracking down what those keys would be. So leave a note in the comments if you have any ideas of what some potential really modern keys would be for a Heroes for Hire project. So next up we have Young Avengers, and I think that a next-gen superhero team in the MCU is all but inevitable. But I'm torn on what the team is going to be. Is it going to be Young Avengers? Is it going to be the Champions? They both seem super likely. They both have confirmed characters, and they both have rumored characters. And who knows, maybe eventually they'll do actually both teams in the MCU, a Young Avengers and a Champions, and maybe even an Agents of Atlas. That seems really likely too. And if enough time goes by, there's no reason why they can't do one for each of these teams. But here we're going to take a look at some keys associated with the Young Avengers, and the most obvious being Young Avengers number 1. This is the first appearance of the Young Avengers and each individual character that makes up the Young Avengers in Kate Bishop, Patriot, Iron Lad, Asgardian, and Hulkling. This book is destined to go down in history as a monster key, and people are already wise to that, which is why it's about a $1,000 book at the moment in a CGC 9.8. But there are a lot of cheaper alternatives available, one of which being Young Avengers 2, which in a CGC 9.8 can be had anywhere between $75 and $150. And it's not only the second appearance of the Young Avengers, it's also the origin of Iron Lad, who is later revealed to be Kang the Conqueror. There's also Young Avengers number 1 from Volume 2, and this is the first appearance of a new Young Avengers team, and I highly doubt that this is the exact team that will appear in the MCU. However, it has a few key characters that I think are likely to appear. In fact, if we get a Young Avengers team in the MCU, it's very unlikely that it will mirror any comic team exactly. It'll probably be some kind of variation. But specific to this book, I think Wiccan, Miss America, and Kid Loki have major potential to be part of the first Young Avengers team in the MCU. And if any of these characters make it onto a Young Avengers team in the MCU, this will be a desirable key because it will be the first time that they joined the Young Avengers team. Also from this series, we have Young Avengers Volume 2, issue number 14, and this is the origin of America Chavez, who's already confirmed for the MCU. I think this book will definitely see a bump in price as excitement around Miss America builds, and you can find this book on the cheap. Next up, we have Totally Awesome Hulk, and this has been rumored to be in development for Disney Plus for a long time, and I think it's highly likely for the next slate of Disney Plus shows. And even if Totally Awesome Hulk doesn't get his own show, I think he will at the very least show up in some other MCU property. Because Amadeus Cho, who is Totally Awesome Hulk, checks two major boxes for Marvel. Next Gen Superhero, and the Diversity card because he's Korean American. So Cho can show up in his own Disney Plus title. He can show up as part of the Champions because he's also part of the Champions team in the comics. He can show up in Shang-Chi, which we'll find out very soon. Or he can show up as part of the Agents of Atlas team because he's also part of that team in the comics. The big key for this is Amazing Fantasy number 15 from 2006, but this book is extremely pricey, and some cheaper alternatives are Totally Awesome Hulk number 1, which is the first appearance of Amadeus Cho as Hulk, and it's also the first appearance of Lady Hellbender. And there's a bunch of different variants for this issue, and the current prices are all good deals if this spec hits. But there's a really cool hip-hop variant, there's a second print that's really rare, there's several 1 in 25, there's a 1 in 20, and the big money book for Totally Awesome Hulk is the 1 in 25 variant that is a cover homage to Hulk number 1. So that's it for this video. 3 series that are rumored for the MCU and Disney Plus. Leave a note down in the comments. What do you think about these specs? What are your favorite rumored for the MCU projects that haven't been officially confirmed yet? Thank you so much as always for sticking with me all the way to the end of the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bry's Comics.